Daredevil has finally fully returned to the MCU, outside of some pretty cool cameos and other projects, in his newest series, Daredevil Born Again. The show takes place several years after the events of the original Netflix series. In it, Matt Murdock has hung up the horns and focused on being a lawyer after the tragic death of... We all know it's Foggy. Foggy, it was coming from a mile away. We'll talk about it. And the Kingpin has recently been elected mayor, causing crime in New York to flare up and for the two sworn enemies to clash once more.
Well, that's the guy I've been worried about this whole time. Kingpin.
I should say at the beginning that I am a huge fan of the original Netflix Daredevil series. I think it's the greatest superhero television show of all time. It's up there with the X-Men 97 X-Men animated series. I'm drawing a blank. And when it was canceled, I was really disappointed because it didn't seem like the MCU or Disney had any plans for these characters or for Daredevil. And Daredevil is one of my favorite Marvel characters, and I like the little Defenders universe that they made on Netflix. So I was sad to see it all go. Then, several years later, Marvel announced Daredevil Born Again, a show that would resurrect the character and release in the spring of 2024. Wow, we're late. I mentioned the original premiere date specifically because, apparently, the original show had gone through a lot of reshoots. The original version of Born Again was allegedly going to have around 18 episodes, or maybe they were going to split that up into the 2 seasons that we're getting now, and would bring back Charlie Cox's Daredevil and Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, which is all great, perfect ideas. But apparently Vanessa was recast, and Foggy and Karen, Matt's best friends, would have been killed off screen. Those 2 ideas alone made me incredibly nervous, and a lot of on-set chatter about how the show wasn't living up to what it could be, or it wasn't even good in the first place. Just like a lot of rumors, which you have to filter out. But it was making me really nervous because I really wanted the show to work, or at least feel like the original Netflix series. However, apparently Marvel listened to those complaints, or however valid they were, and rebranded and redid the entire Daredevil Born Again show. There's still some original scenes and episodes and ideas in this new version, but there's a lot more reshoot additions, which we'll also talk about in a bit. So putting all of that together is really a risky move, but I really applaud Marvel for doing that. And does it work? Here are my thoughts. I'm just gonna jump around from idea to idea. Yeah, sure, let's start with this. I miss the old intro. The old intro is one of the greatest TV intros of all time, but this new one's okay. It's alright. It's hard to beat the best. Next! Okay, the elephant in the room. Killing Foggy Bear. At first, I was not into this idea at all. Foggy is Matt's emotional anchor outside of Karen, and he's kind of the reason why Matt keeps coming back to the law. He's the reason why Matt doesn't spin out of control. It just kind of felt like an FU to the original series almost. Now this is much better because I heard that they weren't even going to show these characters. They were just going to kill them off screen, and then Matt would just be Daredevil or something. I don't even know. Now with that said, with that idea that I was very apprehensive about, I think it works here. I feel like it makes sense in the original context of the show, but it is like jumping from point A to point Z immediately. You could justifiably see the progression from the end of season 3 to the beginning of this new series. So that's okay. It's a big jump. There was a lot that we could have seen, but okay. With that said, I want more Foggy. I was disappointed that we didn't get any of Foggy this season pretty much. But on top of that, I'm very happy that Wilson Bethel's Bullseye returned. And my goodness, is he like Bullseye in this show. I hope he's a nuisance for other Marvel heroes, including Daredevil in the future. I think that would be a really cool reoccurring villain in the Marvel series. Okay, speaking of characters, we have a bunch of new people, and most of them I don't really mind at all. The only one that I would say I think is unnecessary is Cherry, but that's because he could have easily been a character from the original Netflix series that they've already established named Brett Mahoney. Brett was a really cool character because he was just like the cop character. He was the person that they can go to. He was always morally on the right side of things. So including this new Cherry guy, which I don't mind, there was just some leaps that we had to take as an audience to really get behind him. Like, why was he the first person that Matt took his mask off for after Foggy died? I think that was a really random moment. Maybe it was like a mistake on Matt's part, but I don't know. I honestly think he's one of the original versions of the show ideas. Like, I don't know if they would have included him in this new reboot or remake draft or whatever. But this new, I don't know. There was a lot of times throughout the show where I was kind of like, why doesn't that feel more like the Netflix series? Because I'm not like some, like if you wanted to do something completely different, that's totally fine. I think the show does take some risks in new storytelling. Like, I was a big fan of the bank episode, which if you cut that whole episode out, nothing would be added or taken away from the overall story of the season. That said, it was a really fun episodic adventure of Daredevil, and if you wanted to do an episodic Daredevil series, I think I would have been behind that. But this new Born Again series wanted to stay closer with the Netflix series, which I would have preferred. And sometimes what I felt was in the original version of things, it felt like it was going against that idea for some reason, and then this new version of things was trying to bring it back but still work with the original ideas. It was kind of complicated. I couldn't tell if the show wanted to be its own thing or if it wanted to continue the adventures. It's very hard to do that at the same time and both be like perfect. Speaking of the overall story, there was a lot of stuff that I really liked. I really liked the White Tiger storyline. I thought that was really cool. I liked how they included his character and set up more White Tiger stuff in the future. I liked Muse. I thought Muse was a really cool character, except he's, I don't know. He was the only new villain to be added to this series, which I don't mind. Kingpin and Bullseye, you could get a lot of mileage out of. And then the episode he shows up, everybody's talking about Muse, but we're not seeing what Muse is doing. Again, I think this is an original show idea, so I don't mind it at all. Like, I liked it still. It was just like, I wanted more Muse. You could have done more with him. I don't like that they just told the audience what his whole deal was. Like, there was several times where they were just like, he's dangerous, he's a killer, blah, blah, blah. And it never felt like he did those things on screen. It felt like he was talked about and then he fought Daredevil. That's what it felt like. But that leads into the overall story of the series, which was Bullseye killing Foggy and it being revealed that there's like an actual conspiracy behind the whole thing and that Vanessa Fisk was behind the whole thing. I like that reveal. I love that her actress is back, and I love that they made sure to keep her cold-hearted as she was in the Netflix series. But that twist was really cool. I thought that was a really cool idea, especially because Kingpin didn't have some master plan at first as the show was going on, and then once we got closer to the end when he was like re-becoming the Kingpin, then he joined back in. But I thought that was a really cool reveal. The finale and this series felt like it was really trying to establish Marvel's street level scene. I know that Spider-Man is technically street level, but I'm pretty sure Sony won't let him ever do anything other than a big movie. I like that Matt has a connection to Miss Marvel. I like that Jack Duquesne is back. I like the interaction stuff that he had with White Tiger. I kind of like that this street level stuff is being established. The Punisher also makes his grand return. I think his stuff was reshoot stuff because there's certain scenes where I'm like, you don't feel... F*** it, we'll do it live! Do it live! The Punisher makes his grand return, but that said, his stuff feels like a reshoot almost, but it works here. I want to say it does work. I'm really glad he's back. I love John Bernthal, and I'm so happy that he's back in the MCU. That said, give him an R-rated movie. I think that would make a lot of money. It's not that expensive compared to what Marvel usually does. Come on, give Punisher his own movie. That would be so awesome! But once I reached the finale of the show, after all of those feelings, I feel like this season was setting up a more interesting story of Daredevil. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. I'm very excited for season 2. But it ended with this feeling of like, oh yeah, we'll stop Kingpin someday. Like, the villain didn't even get away with it yet. He's working towards getting away with it. And Matt hasn't even really made like a play. Like, he's assembling a bunch of vigilantes in New York, but I want to specify that I don't think that that's it. I don't think this is everybody. Cherry, Karen, and a bunch of cops. I don't think that's everybody. I think that's just like the groundwork, like the characters that were established this season that wouldn't break the bank. Overall, I really liked this new series. I think it was a different direction from what I felt from the Netflix series, but I liked that. It was new, and it was hard for me to break down my biases towards the original series, but it was easy. I was able to get into it. That said, if I'm gonna recommend a Netflix Daredevil series, well, I just said it. That was a Freudian slip. I'd recommend the original over this one, especially because you kind of need to like feel for these characters going into this show. I like Daredevil Born Again. I'm very excited for season 2. Will we get Stiltman? Who knows? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.